So for this unit, we were asked to put all of our projects together and make a presentation on all the poems and styles of poetry that we studied. So we studied many poetic devices and different forms of poetry in this unit. For the first activity that we did, we studied short poems and long poems. So first I studied short poems and filled out one of these templates. The style of short poem that I studied was the Clary Hugh poetry style, which only uses 4 lines. The 4 lines of these poems are in the form of A, where A and A would be a rhyming couplet, and then B would also be another rhyming couplet. This style of poetry is intended to deliver a theme that's comedic and happy. So the example that I found online, it only irritated Brahms to tickle him under the arms. What it really helped him to compose was to be stroked under the nose. So for this example of a Clary Hugh poem, it uses senses such as when it says tickle him under the arms and stroked under the nose. That helps the reader really connect with what is being said. And then for mine, I said, it makes me laugh to see my dad have an angry face to prove that he is mad. I could see his face become very red when I ate the last slice of bread. So my poem was much more simple than the one I found online. However, they both had comedic effects to them, and that was sort of the overall theme, to be funny and happy. So this style of poem is just generally generally a simple short poem, which can be used with children. The next one was for the long poem. So for the long poem, I used an ode. I had an ode poem. So an ode poem is typically used to describe a person, a place, or an event. This style of poetry is for lyrical poems that are typically accompanied by a song and dance. So these styles of poems are used to deliver a certain type of emotion, and normally it's to express someone's love and admiration for someone or something. So the author wants the readers to be able to understand and feel the emotions that are being portrayed in the poem. So for this example, London, My Beautiful, it uses the city of London to relate it to a certain person, a female that the author is trying to express his love towards. So London, the city, is used as a symbol in this poem in order to represent the person's love and admiration for that girl. This style of poem is much longer than the last one we looked at, and it's because it wants to be able to really deliver the emotion and deliver the theme to the readers. There are many adjectives and metaphors and similes used throughout these poems in order to relate the subjects of the poem to the person that the author is describing. There was also a lot of imagery and symbolism used. So symbolism being London, the city, and then imagery being statements such as the glow of her passing, I will climb into the branches of the moonlit trees, that blood may be cooled. There's just so much imagery and words used in order for the reader to imagine the background and the setting of the poem. And that was what I initially thought to use in my poem as well for Spring, Gentle Spring. I use many words such as breeze, bright sun, clear blue, in order for the reader to understand what I was trying to portray. For this activity, denotation and connotation, the Diction Doctor was an interesting activity to do because it was interesting to be able to see how the use of diction in different words helps makes it easier for a theme to be delivered in a poem or any writing piece. So for the poem that I made here, Summer Ease, I'll read it for you. The warm beams from above as the birds chirp like flutes. I can see the grass get greener every day while the warm breeze brushes the trees. The sun rays caress my skin with a gentle warmness that I've missed. The beach is a summer home, one where friends swim in the crashing waves and eat s'mores by the brilliant fire. The days filled with laughter and freedom, all worries and disturbances are forgotten. So for this poem, the diction that I used, for example, I used warm, I used breeze, I used caress. This was these words were used in order to portray the theme of happiness and relaxation. So there was also some symbols used in this, such as I can see the grass get greener every day. That was sort of to symbolize the beauty that grows with summer. The next symbol that I used was the crashing waves. That would represent the freedom that comes with summer and how that makes the reader feel relaxed. I also used some personifications, such as here I said, the sun rays caress my skin. This allows the reader to sense the feeling of what's being said. So the sun rays caress my skin. That makes the reader feel warm and relaxed. I also used a lot of imagery in this poem by the use of adjectives. The final activity that we did was sound and sense. So this theme was a lot darker than the last one that I did. And we also used many different poetic devices that I hadn't used in the last one about summer. So for this one, I used darkness crawls across the land as a repetition. And that was a new poetic device that we learned. We also learned about onomatopoeia. And so the onomatopoeia words that I used were screeching, smashing, howl, etc. And those really helped deliver the theme of the poem. I also wanted to point out that there was a symbol used in this poem that was really helpful to deliver the theme. So I said, I can hear the screeching of the tea kettle in my ears. So the screeching of the tea kettle would represent the chaos and the turmoil that comes from the storm. So the overall theme of this was the power of darkness. So here when I said darkness crawls across the land, obviously the word darkness represents the darkness in the theme. And then crawls across the land represents the power that the darkness has. So overall, the use of poetic devices and the different styles and forms of poem help deliver the theme and the overall mood of the poem. And yeah, so thank you for listening.